and stovepiped, because these offices were individually funded, individually staffed, and they came out of different AFIs, instructions, you name it, they had different reporting structures and different objectives. With the IRC, and this is a very, very top level look at it, but basically we bring all of those into one office now. And the Air Force has until about 2025, 2026, depending on the location, to get that done. USAPA is making sure that that is done by August. So hats off to USAPA, because what that means is instead of having these individual agencies that we, over the next few years, kind of sort of figure out how to get together, we are doing it fast and furious, because it matters, and we really, really care about it. And so that means we have individual prevention throughout the installation, and we have individual sexual assault response throughout the installation. Go to the next slide, please. And this is how it's growing. So in a matter of about 8 to 6 months, we will be double our staff. And in addition to being double our staff, we're not just giving the same staff the same requirements. We are giving them new position descriptions with more tailored efforts, and we are credentialing them. So we are professionalizing the force that we are doubling. And that's huge, because it means our advocates that are going to be throughout the installation get to be advocates. Instead of being burdened with the idea that they also have to be prevention experts, and they have to be great briefers, and they have to be great leaders, they can be all of those things because they get to be advocates first. That's really important. And then on the other side, our prevention team. What was formerly a single violence prevention integrator, we have 2 prevention analysts. They focus on data. Then instead of a single prevention coordination specialist, we have 2 prevention coordination specialists. And they focus on coordinating events, getting volunteer support, how do we work with leadership, what do we want to market, and how do we want to market it. And then we have 2 new positions, prevention specialists. So now our team of prevention and advocacy can go be prevention and advocacy, and these 2 individuals can handle training. And under them, they have a force of volunteers, and they look at fidelity, and they look at data collection to make sure that what we're training and what we're educating on is done well and to a higher level. So super, super important that we're doing this, and super, super important that USAPA is doing it now. In addition to these great ads to our prevention and advocacy side, we have some oversight that we're giving to that. So within that credentialing process, each level has a higher level credentialing, additional education that they have to proceed with. So we will have a response chief and a prevention chief. They will oversee the execution of those programs so that they are fully integrated with the other resources that are available on base. No longer should be the days where you say, well, I need a victim advocate, I guess that means I can't go to FAP. Or I went to mental health, but they didn't tell me about SAPR. All of these programs have to be integrated. So when you ask for help, you get help. 100% of the care, 100% of the time, on your terms. That is the first step in our prevention effort, is making sure that they are integrated and working together. And then we have a lead data analyst. And this person collects across all of these pieces to make sure that what we're doing is not just done with fidelity, but that it's done in a way that matters. And if it's not working, we discontinue it and try something new. We do not have to have a one-size-fits-all program. And so that's really, really important. What is not on here, but what is coming soon, is also the addition to our team of clinical social workers that will be designated to specific squadrons. So it won't just be sexual assault, it won't just be prevention, it'll be mental health care as well. So that's super important. We can go to the next slide. And how do we make this work? So if you're familiar with the IRC, or you're familiar with any of our programs, which I know everyone here is, we talk a lot about embedding and co-locating. And sometimes we don't always talk about them as being individual efforts, but we say that they're the same thing. And so what we are helping our integration team do is figure out what co-location looks like, which is making sure that program management and access to resource and how those resources align with each other to protect and advocate and care for our community are co-located. When they're co-located, they're working together, not as individual agencies. And then embedding. Embedding is really important, because that is the point of access of care. You don't necessarily need to have to go somewhere else to get the care you need. The care can be where you're at. And that gives it a lot more social currency. But it also says, thank you for being here, but you're not the office I want to speak to. I'd rather speak to a chaplain. I'd rather speak to a mental health provider. And without you having to tell your story, I just take you there. So embedding care gives social currency at the point care is needed. And co-locating means programs are aligned so that they are executing together instead of separately.
Where are they gonna be?
Everywhere. So as we plus up our staff, we'll have them in squadrons, we'll have them in individual offices. And one of the pieces that we do is we'll do an evaluation with the whole leadership team to determine where the most at risk is and what type of resource should be embedded based on the culture. And that is my time. Thank you so much.